And we consider those communities as people of the book. So Allah is saying that amongst them are disbelievers and the mushrikeen. Mushrikeen are those people who commit shirk. Shirk is to join partners to Allah. People who recognize the forces of the sky, the forces of the earth, and they're not aware that these forces worship Allah themselves. The earth worship Allah, the sky worship Allah. Everything in existence worship Allah. But what they choose to do is they choose to worship existence. So they are called mushrikeen. And that these people, munfikina, these people did not differ. Okay? They did not differ until clear proof came to them. With the appearance of Islam, on the tongues of the Messenger Muhammad, on the tongue of the Messenger of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, it became a differ between them. Some believed, some didn't believe. There was a difference arose between them. So, Bayina is further explained in the verse number 2. Allah said, Rasulun min Allah, a messenger of Allah. A messenger of Allah made his appearance, and what he was doing, Yatluhu suhufam mutohara, that this messenger was reciting pages that are purified and clean and clear from falsehood, which is the Quran. He was reciting the Quran. It came down mentally to his soul in pages, not physical pages. And he was reciting as if he is reading from a book. Okay? So in this revelation, it is pure. No falsehood can come to it from before it or from the back. Fiha kutubun qayyima. In the revelation that was coming down, there are chapters. Okay? And it is a book that is qayyima. It is a book that raise a people and set them up straight. Qayyima is to raise a people from disbelief, from ignorance, from superstition, from vices, from all the negative aspects that human beings do, and set them up upright. So it is a physical revelation in the community. It is a physical revelation for mankind, where Allah take us out of whatever we were before. Some of us maybe were doing drugs, alcoholism, and doing all kind of stuff. And Allah resurrect us, clean us up, and stand us up straight. That is the power of the message of Islam and this book. So, and that can only happen if we follow the precepts and the commands of Allah in His revelation that He sent. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue. وَمَا تَفَرَّقَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ. And the people who were given the book, they did not differ, or did not cause separation between themselves. إِلَّا مِنْ بَعْدَ مَا جَاءَتْهُمُ الْبَيِّنَةُ. Until, except when the clear evidence, bayina, has come to them. So they did not divide themselves about the Prophet Muhammad SAW, except after his mission became known, became evident, or his message, which is the Quran, were recited to them. Before that, the people of the book were waiting for the coming of the Prophet Muhammad SAW. The Jews of Medina were waiting for the coming of the Prophet Muhammad SAW. And those Israelites in Medina used to say, they used to tell the Arabs, when the Prophet come, he is going to put us over you, because we will follow him. This is what they told the Arabs. Because they had evidence in their books about the Prophet Muhammad SAW, which they knew. And Allah said in another part of the Quran that they knew this evidence and they recognized this evidence as if they recognized their own children. Okay? They recognized their children in the same way. They recognized the evidence that was in the book, and they were waiting for him. And they agreed to believe in him when he comes. But what happened? When he came, what they expected, they did not approve of him when he came. And what they expected did not happen. Because all those who follow the Prophet Muhammad SAW gained ascendancy, not because they were Israelites. And they thought that when he comes, he will immediately put them above everybody else because they were Israelites, whether they were righteous or not. And when he came, they realized this is not a game. This is not what is going to happen. So it caused disagreement in their ranks. That is the people of the book. And this was their response to the message of Islam and the coming of the Prophet Muhammad SAW. And because of that, Allah called them kafirun. Because if you disbelieve, if you believe in Allah among the people of the book, and they disbelieve in Muhammad SAW, they are considered kafirs. Okay? But there were people of the book who believe in their prophets and who also believe in the Prophet Muhammad. They are also included among us as mu'minun, believers. And what was the whole issue about? وَمَا أُمِّرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبِدُونَ اللَّهَ. And they were commanded in their book and in this book to worship Allah, nothing else. And to worship him muklisina lahudina, hunafa, that they were supposed to worship, give ibadah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this was also in their books and in the message. So there was a similarity between the Quranic message and the message of the former books. And they were also commanded to have pure intention. Their intention was wrong because they just wanted lordship over the Arabs. And that is what this message is not about. The believers will win through, whether they are people of the book, whether they are Israelite or not. The believers will win through. So they miscalculated and they had wrong intention. They had wrong intention in the deen because they were asked to be hunafa. Hunafa is somebody who turned to righteousness. Hunafa is somebody who is in search of righteousness, and when they find it, they turn to it and follow it. So there were people in the time of the Prophet ﷺ who were also called Hunafa. They were searching for the religion of Abraham alayhi salam. Some of them became Jews, and some of them became Christians, and some of them remain on the millah or the religion of Abraham alayhi salam. The little that they have found out about it, they held on to that. And which basically was they did not worship idols. No, ate the meat that was offered to idols. So whatever remnants of the religion of Abraham alayhi salam and their father Ishmael alayhi salam, they held on to it. Okay, so these people, the Hunafa, outside before the Prophet ﷺ came, and inside when the Prophet ﷺ came, they were the people of the book was being asked by Allah to demonstrate that quality. Find out about the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, search your scriptures, and when you are convinced, then you follow with sincere intention. So this is what Allah said, that is all He asks of them. And secondly, وَيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ, and He asked them to establish the prayer. Okay? Establish the prayer. وَيُؤْتُوا الزَّكَاةَ, and to pay the zakah. وَذَلِكَ دِينُ الْقَيِّمَةِ, and that is the upright, righteous way of life. So it wasn't something hard for them to do because they were people of the book. They're supposed to know about proper intention. They're supposed to know about salah. They're supposed to know about the zakah, paying the zakah. Okay? And they know about all these things even before the Prophet come. So Islam. But when he came now and they verified, they became Hunafa, they were searchers, we find the truth, and they were supposed to reinforce what they knew before and join it to what he, Muhammad Sallallahu was bringing, because this was a new message and a confirmation of what went before. So once they confirm that this is the person that was expected, Muhammad Sallallahu, they were supposed to get together in sincerity, establish the prayer and to pay the poor due. And Allah said that is the upright and the righteous way of life. Dinul Qayyimah. Now we are going to deal with the kuffar. Inna ladina kafaru min ahlil kitab wal mushrikeen. And Allah says that those who disbelieve among the Ahl Kitab and the Mushrikeen. Okay? Among these two elements. Because the Mushrikeen, they did not recognize the Tawheed, the unity of Allah, and they still went to their ancestral gods, and they denied the message of Islam, and they denied the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So they deny belief in Allah, they deny belief in the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and then they deny the revelation, which is the message that Allah sent down on the tongue of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And he said, these people, fi nari jahannama, that they will be in the fire. Khalidina, for a long time. Khalidina fiha. Ulaika humu sharrul bariya. They are the worst of created beings. They are the worst of creatures. Why they were called worst of creatures? Because they rejected the message after they were given clear evidence. It is not like they didn't know. Okay? It's not like if they didn't know. But they knew very well. Because there was so much proofs available. And still they reject the message. Allah said about them that is Sharul Bariya, the worst of created beings, and they will be in Finar, Khalidina Fiya. So they'll be in that nar for a long time. Now, remember I mentioned to you that the Prophet ﷺ said that there are two rainfall. The first one was his companions. They believe in him and they saw him and they saw the miracles. They saw how Allah manifested his support for the deen. And the second rainfall are those who come after them. Like us. We didn't see all of that. We didn't see all of that. And yet we believe. So he said, you don't know which one better. Those who saw and believed, they were convinced by seeing. And those who didn't even see, but they believe. So he left us with that to think about. Inna ladina amanu wa amilu solihat. Indeed, those who have iman and do righteous amal, righteous actions. Who are these people? Khairul bariya. They are the best of creatures. They are the best of created beings. So, worship of Allah, doing right actions, is valued highly than disbelief in Allah and not doing right actions, like Salah and Zakah and sadaqah, okay, that is considered the worst, and the best is when you believe and you do right actions. So the people who do the opposite, they are sharrul bariyah, and the people who do the positive, they are khairul bariyah. And we continue. Jaza'uhum inda, their reward is with who? Inda, with who? Rabbihim, with their Lord and Sustainer. He's referring to the people of good deeds and righteous action. The people of bad deeds, people of disbelief and bad actions, they are in the finarial khalidin. They're in a fire that goes on forever. And those who are of good deeds, their reward is with their Lord. So your reward is having the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your reward is having that closeness with your Lord. And you will be in Jannah, which is a resident that has rivers flowing underneath it, where they will live forever with Allah. And they enjoy the pleasure of Allah. They are pleased with Allah, and Allah is pleased with them. So they had Iman in Allah, and they wanted to avoid the fire, and they wanted to avoid His punishments, and they wanted to avoid His displeasure. So in this life, they obeyed Allah to the best of their abilities. And at the end of it, they were rewarded with their Lord, firstly, and with His pleasure that was expressed with He causing them to enter the garden. The garden is a expression of His pleasure, where they will have residence, houses. Underneath, river flows, which means that the temperature will be so cool. And they will look around at each other, and in their soul, in their self, they will be pleased with what Allah has given them. And they will be pleased with what they have found. And Allah will be pleased with these people. And we know that the Prophet ﷺ said that in the garden there are things that cannot be described. Okay, so what we know are just some of these things that we have come across in the Quran and in the description that the Prophet ﷺ gave us. But that is not all. There are many things there in store for us. Now, that brings us to the end of that surah. And I would like to deal with a hadith that is concerned with that surah. Anas ibn Malik, who was a young man. In fact, he was a servant to the Prophet as a young boy. So he had the opportunity to observe the Prophet in everything he do, because he lived in the household of the Prophet. And another Muslim companion called Shu'ba. that they related from the Prophet ﷺ, that the Prophet said to Ubay, the son of Ka'ab, Ubay, the son of Ka'ab, and this is a companion that you should do some research on, that he said to Ka'ab, indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded me to recite to you this surah, Bayina. Allah went to Ubay ibn Ka'ab and said, Allah had commanded me to recite to you, Ubay ibn Ka'ab, this surah. Ubay said, Allah, mentioned me by name to you? And the Prophet said, Na'am, yes, indeed. And he began to cry. Ubay began to cry. Now, who is this Ubay? You just do a little glimpse into his life. He was an Israelite, which means that he came from Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. So he was from amongst one of the children of Israel. Also, he was from among the people of the book. He was a scholar in Yathrib. Yathrib is what we now call Medina. The city that the Prophet came to, he renamed it Yathrib. And then, no, its former name was Yathrib, and he renamed it Medina. Medina to Nabi, the city of the Prophet. So Ka'b was an intelligent scholar among the Israelites. And he knew the Torah. And he knew the prophecies in the Torah that signal the coming of a prophet that they were expecting. So that is why Allah told the Prophet to recite this surah to him. Because Allah mentioned that among the people of the book are those who believe. They did not know and deny. They know and they confirm, which is Ubay ibn Ka'b. But we know that some of the other scholars and the people of the Israelites, they went into opposition because what they expected the Prophet to do for them, they found that it was different. Ubay ibn Ka'b was also called Abu Mundir. Abu Mundir. He was an Ansar, which means he was one of those people who supported the Prophet in Medina. Those people are called Ansar. Those who migrated from Mecca to Medina are called Muhajirun or Muhajir. Those who make Hijrah. Okay? So we have the Muhajirun and we have the Ansar. He was from the tribe of Khazraj. Okay? And he was the first person of Yathrib to accept Islam and pledge bayah. And also he was among the people to pledge bayah at Aqaba. Because remember, there was a delegation from Medina who went to the Prophet twice. And they pledged allegiance to him because they wanted him to come to Medina and bring the message there because of the opposition that he was getting in Mecca. Ubay also fought in the Battle of Badr. He was also one of the few people who wrote his own copy of the Quran, his own Mus'haf. He wrote his own Mus'haf because he was one of the scribes of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He wrote the Quran when it was being revealed to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he also wrote letters dictated to him by the Prophet to rulers or to invite other people to Islam. So he was an official scribe of the Prophet, both in revelation and in governmental matters. And just said that he had his own personal copy. As revelation came, he wrote it down for the Prophet Sallallahu, and he also wrote it in his own copy. After the death of the Prophet Sallallahu, he was one of the 25 or so people who had memorized the Quran. They were Hafiz. So he was among the early Hafiz of Medina. His recitation was so beautiful, and his understanding of the Quran was very clear. That Umar and the Prophet, okay, so what should I say? The Prophet and then Umar, Sallallahu, the Prophet encouraged others to learn the Quran from him. Okay, the Prophet encouraged others to learn the Quran from Ubay. And his recitation is one of the seven ways the Quran is recited. Ubay ibn Ka'b. And Umar also backed up what the Prophet had said during his time as a Khalifa. Umar said, learn Quran from Ubay ibn Ka'ab. Learn inheritance, the laws of inheritance, from Zayd ibn Thabit. Learn fiqh from Mu'ad ibn Jabal. And when you want to learn about money matters and financial instruments, come to me, Umar. So he had a great rank as a Muslim. And it is good to study his life, because if you read his life, it will inspire you, okay, to action and encouragement. You know, you read some things about some people by biography, and they inspire you. He is one of those persons. And Umar called him the Sayyid. Okay, he was called the Sayyid of the Muslims, the master of the Muslims. The only other person shared that title before him was Bilal. When they saw Bilal, they said, Sayyiduna, our Sayyid. And Ubay was also called Sayyid. But Umar and a lot of people started to call him by that name also. So it is good sometime to look into the lives of these characters who saw the revelation and who took it on, and who were responsible for forwarding the Islamic cause and movement, and that today we can count ourselves among the Muslims because of their efforts. The second surah we are going to do is Surah Zilzal. It is the 99th surah of the Quran, and Zilzal means the earthquake. It is a Meccan surah, and unlike the surah before, some people said that it was a Medinan surah, and the evidence weighs more towards Medina for this one. Its name was taken from a word in the first verse. Iza zulzilatil ardu zilzalaha. Okay? It comes from that word zilzal. Means an earthquake. The main topic is the events of the last day and the state of mankind. Now, this surah, like Surah 81, I think you should know this, like Surah 81, 82, and Surah 101, and others, are all part of a set of surahs that deals with the day of judgment and everything related to it. Resurrection, the judgment, Jannah, Jahannam, and all these things. So if you put all these surahs together, you can get a pretty good picture of what exactly will happen on the day of judgment. Okay, and especially the important events that is going to affect us. So if you collect all these surahs together, 81, Zilzal, which is 99, 81, 82, and 101, and others. There are others. Okay, and most of them are Meccan surahs. Most of them, but this one is Medinan. So from them you can get a total picture of the events that is going to happen to the sky, to the earth, to us, everything. So it starts. Verse number 1. When the earth is shaking, why does it shake? Because the hour has come. The hour has become manifest. So there's a change in existence as we know it. The earth will not look like the way it used to look. The mountains will flee and become like dust. The earth will be spread out like a big plain, like a big savanna. And the sky will rip open. You will not recognize existence as you did before. Okay, because the day has come, the time has come. And with its coming, there's a monumental changes in the whole of existence. Zilzal is the final quake, final earthquake that is terrible and violent. Number 2, وَأَخْرَجَتِ الْأَرْضُ أَثْقَالَهَا, and the earth will throw out all of its burden, which means that the earth will throw out all those who are buried within it, and all the treasures that were hidden in it. The earth will throw out everything. Okay? The earth will throw out everything. So just imagine all the hidden treasures that people were looking for. They will be there lying on the surface. And we can't do anything about them. We can't collect it. All the treasures of great civilizations, all the treasures we heard that the pirates buried, all the treasures that were lost in the sea, everything will be on the surface. And all the people will be resurrected from the grave. Yawma idhin, on that great day, that tremendous day. Tuhadithul akhbaraha. Tuhadithul akhbaraha. And on that day, the earth itself. No, sorry, I missed that verse, sorry. Waqala al-insanu malaha. Sorry, Brad. Waqala al-insanu malaha. And mankind or a person will say, what is wrong with this earth? Now, that person is identified as a disbeliever because the whole of existence is changing before his eyes. But he cannot believe what he is seeing. What is wrong with her? What is wrong with this earth? It is said in disbelief. He can't, although he's seen it, like he can't, it didn't reach him. You know, he's just dumbfounded to see all this momentous change happening. So he denies the reality that is before him. And he denies exactly what he is seeing. But those who believe already know that these things will happen. So Allah did not mention them. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Yawma idhin, on that day, tuhadithu akhbaraha, the earth will start to relate its story. Allah will give the earth the ability to say its story. We don't know exactly how that will be. Okay? So the earth will inform everyone present about all what happened on it. Or because when you are doing wrong, the earth is a witness what you are doing. The earth is a witness to what you are doing. So you see, the idol worshippers, they understood that the world has a personality, like the earth have a personality. Or let us say a force, because it's a force in creation. But they, instead of worshipping the master of that force, they worship the force. You see? And some of them give the earth different names in order to worship it. So in different cultures, they give the earth different names and they worship it as a deity, as a god. You know, but we as Muslims call them to the Tawheed. You know, we worship He who created the earth. So it's a good thing that they recognize that the earth have some kind of divine thing associated with it. But they were not asked to worship that. They was asked to worship the creator of that. And these are some of the ways you can use to give the dawah to people who do these things. You know, they worship the earth, the sky, the sun, and all these different things. Because when you speak to them, they will say, well, the earth gave you life, the earth this and that. Yeah, but who's the master of the earth? Who give the earth that ability to do that? Okay, and then the earth will be given a final ability to tell its story of all what happened on it, good or bad. Okay, it will tell everything about all the servants, male or female, what they did, Muslims or non-Muslim, because Allah will inspire it or command it to speak, and it will testify. Okay, so this is what the earth will do. To hadithu, it will relate the hadiths, all the things that people do on it. Bi annaka rabbaka aw halaha, because how that is done, how that is possible, because Allah commanded it to do it. So we don't know how, we don't know the process, we don't even know how it will sound. We don't know. Yawma idhin, and again, to show emphasis, to show importance, on that day, on that great day, on that tremendous day. Yasduruha nasu ashtatan, okay, the hearts, okay, sorry, on that day, Yasduru, the people will come out, Yasduru will come out, leaving the place after they were judged, and then they were put into section, ashtat. I will put them into sections so that they were able to see, okay, the a'malahum, what actions they had done. So you put them into sections. They'll come out in groups after the thing, face the judgment, and continue in groups. And they were given their books. Those who were given their books in their right hand will be successful, enter the Jannah. And those who were given their books in the left hand will be unsuccessful, and they will enter the hellfire. So we came across this before in the former surah. This is just for emphasis. Okay, that there will be groups, and each group will come up behind their leaders, and the leaders, okay, will be led by the prophets of that group, and the people in those groups will be given their books, okay, and they were able to see their deeds, so that they will understand why they were given either Jannah or Jahannam, because Allah Himself is not an oppressor of His servants, of His slaves, of His creation. He oppresses no one. So you'll be judged, and all the evidence is in that book that you'll be given. This is your records. So you will see it. فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ. As for those people who have done an atom weight of good, will see it. Okay? Those people who have done an atom weight of good will see it, and they are and and they are the best people. Okay? They shall see it. So whoever, so, and I mean, we cannot see an atom with the naked eye. We need instruments to be able to see an atom. So whoever has done that smallest deed that cannot even be seen, okay, cannot even be perceived, cannot even be known. Small thing, smallest deed, so minute. Yarahu, he will see it. He or she will see it. And they will be given reward for it. Because of what the other verse said, that they will be rewarded. And then Allah ends the surah. وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. And whoever does an evil deed, small as an atom, small, that cannot be seen, minute, he will see it. And he will give him the punishment for that deed. Now there are other important hadiths related, connected to this surah that I'd like to share with you. The first one is concerning the atom weight of good. Okay, the atom weight of good. Let us look into that and what the Prophet ﷺ told our companions, so we have a better understanding of it. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri said, when the verse came down, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ, okay, which is we just read. Okay, he asked the Prophet ﷺ, will I truly see my deeds there? Like, will I really see this? The smallest atom, the smallest minute good I have done, will I really see it? And he also asks about the smallest evil deed also. Both of them he asks about. So he put them together and he said, will I see my deeds there? And the Prophet ﷺ said yes. And then he said that I asked further, and even all my major sins. So he said, even the smallest sins and the big one too, everything. And the Prophet ﷺ said yes. And the small minor ones too, the Prophet said yes. When he heard that, he became sad. He said, I became sad. And he said, then I will be finished. I will be ruined. He said, well, if that is so, then I am ruined. I am finished. I will not be able to make it. And the Prophet ﷺ turned to him and said, be happy. Be happy. O Abu Sa'id al-Khudri. Be happy. So, why did the Prophet ﷺ told him that? So we continue the hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, because for each good action will be equal to 10 good actions like it. So for one bad action will be recorded as one action, one bad action. One good action, small or big, will be counted as 10. So that is why he told Abu Sa'id to be happy. Due to this, some say that this is why some people say that it was revealed at Medina, because of the incident. This incident, they said that is why some people say it was revealed at Medina. So what can we take from this hadith? So in reality, all of us, from the first of us to the last of us, all of us have a big, big chance to enter the Jannah. All of us have a big or a great chance to enter the Jannah. All of us. Because of this, one deed, bad, 1. One deed, good, 10. So all of us have a chance. Decrease your bad deeds and increase your good deeds. Simple formula. Decrease your bad deeds and increase your good deeds. Because for every good deed, you'll be getting 10 reward, as if you did 10 things good. So be happy. Be happy, O Muslims. Just like our Prophet ﷺ told Abu Sa'id, to be happy. So I'm telling you also to be happy. Have hope. Right? So because of this knowledge that one good deed is 10, one bad deed is 1. Because of this knowledge, we should be happy. To seek forgiveness and decrease our bad deeds. To turn in tawbah to Allah and increase our good deeds. So by that formula, we should not be despondent. Okay? That is why the scholars say that the Muslim, the mu'min, exists in fear and hope. You don't want to disobey Allah. And he has hope for the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah grant you a blessing. One deed, good one, 10. Bad one, 1. Big or small, bad one, 1. So that is why we want our good deeds to outweigh our bad deeds. So we should be happy. And we should encourage each other to patience, to believe in one Allah, to pray and sadaqah. In short, to all good deeds. The second narration that can throw some light also on this surah is that narration from Abu Huraira ibn Amr. He spoke about a man who came to the Prophet ﷺ, asking him to teach him to recite the Quran. So this man came to the Rasul and requested from the Rasul to teach him how to recite the Quran. The Prophet ﷺ told him to recite the 3 surahs that contains Alif, Lam, Ra. Alif, Lam, Ra. There are 3 surahs that contain Alif, Lam, Ra. You should learn that. The man said, I am too old and my heart has difficulty in remembering and my tongue is very slow. Okay? Now, in Islam, the heart is recognized as the place of faith, as the place of intelligence, not the brain. Okay? Okay? They locate knowledge in the heart, not in the brain. Even among the ancient Egyptians, it's the same thing. Okay? They did not. The ancient Egyptians were so funny. They did not consider the brain worth anything. So when they are doing mummification, they used to throw the brain and keep the heart. Okay, but the brain is the administrator of the whole of your body. So he said that my heart has difficulty in remembering, and my tongue is slow. The Prophet said to him to recite the 3 surahs that contains Hamim. Okay, there are 3 surahs that begins with Hamim, and these are called shortened letters. You know, and Allah alone knows their meaning. They appear in the Quran in different places. The first time it appears in Baqarah, Alif Lam Mim, Dhalikal Kitabu La Raiba Fi. That's in the first verse in Surah Baqarah, and the second verse, Alif Lam Mim. And in other places we have Alif Lam Ra, and then we have Hamim, and then we have Noon, and then we have Ain Sod. So we have all different, we have Yasin. All of these are letters, and they have their own spiritual meaning and power. So he gave the Prophet the same answer. I'm too old to memorize that in my heart, and my tongue is too slow. You know, that's why, early, I mean, I don't know if people, if in Trinidad we still have that statement, we used to say, recite the alphabet by heart. See? Or recite the times tables by heart. We say that. And we got that from our old culture. Recite by heart. We never say, recite the alphabet by brains. Think about it. So, even in our culture, growing up, I remember in nursery school, they told us that. Can I read it from the book, miss? No. I want it by heart. I know you're frightened. So then he turned to the Prophet and said, the old man, so teach me a comprehensive surah. So teach me a comprehensive surah. I know that. A surah that have everything in it. And the Prophet ﷺ turned to him and said, Iza zulzilatil ardu zilzalaha. This surah, zilzal, he say, learn this surah. Learn this to recite this surah. So he recited this whole surah to the end of it. To the end of it. Sharayyara. Straight to the end. And the man said to the Prophet and those who gathered there, I swear by him who has sent you, which is Allah. He's starting to swear now. I swear by him who sent you with the truth that I shall never recite more than that. Say, as for me, I swear by Allah who sent you with the truth, I ain't recited nothing else. So he was contented with that because his heart was able to memorize that amount and his tongue was able to speak or to recite that. It was not slow in terms of that. So when the man eventually left the company of the Prophet ﷺ, he said twice, the little has become successful. The little has become successful. What he meant by that is that by this small deed, that this man will enter Jannah. And we have other instances where a Bedouin came to the Prophet ﷺ and tell him, ask him about Islam. He say, believe in Allah. I say, I will do that. Pray. I'll do my prayer. Nothing more, nothing less. You know? So you say, what you say, he could do all the things that Allah asked him to do. And nothing more. You pay zakat, you ain't doing nothing else after that. Then he left. And the Prophet ﷺ say, take a look at him, he's a man of Jannah. So a little has become successful. Okay? So that is why, Allah says that, فَمَا يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَةٍ, okay, خَيْرًا, a small deed, atom weight of deed. يَرَاهُ, he will see it. It will be seen by the person who does it. Eventually, and be rewarded for it. Because once you see it, you'll get the reward or the punishment. Now, lastly, the last one, Anas ibn Malik, again, come back to him again. And Ibn Abbas reported that the Prophet ﷺ said that Iza zulzilatil ardi zilzalaha, this is this surah is equal to half of the Quran. So this surah is equal to half of the Quran, which is why it is called a comprehensive surah. Because if you look at the revelation of the Quran, it consists of those matters of the next life, Jannah, paradise, punishment, all these things. And then those are Meccan. And then the other part concern about marriage. It's called mu'amalat, like things that you do, people do in society, in marriage, finance, war, trade, but the mention of the other half is more than the mention of the more mundane part of life. And so the spiritual aspect is mentioned more than that. So that is considered as half of the Quran, comprehensive. This and Surah Zilzal kind of bring all of that together. Okay? And he said that is equal to half of the Quran. And Qul Huwallahu Ahad is considered to a third of the Quran. Is equal to a third of the Quran. That is the basic message of Islam. Tawheed. And Qul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun is equal to a quarter of the Quran. Okay? So those people who are good at fractions, we have a half plus a third and a quarter. What does that equal to? What does that equal to? Okay, so these are the hadiths that are concerned with the Quran, and especially with this particular surah that we have done. So that brings us to the end of this session, and I hope that everyone benefited from it. So before we close, I invite any questions. Any questions? Okay, subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. So I hope that we gain benefit from this session, and that tomorrow we'll continue again on this journey, and hopefully that we'll be able to complete the last just runners. So now we retire until we come back tomorrow, and I hope that take what is beneficial and you leave alone which is not beneficial to you, and whatever mistakes our minds and whatever guidance is only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He's the only one to guide. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Okay. So tomorrow, inshallah, we will continue.